responsibility.
The poet and singer Patti Smith lived with Mapplethorpe in New York's Greenwich Village in the early 70s.
If you are male and choose other than female, you must take responsibility of holding the key to freedom. Every time I swirl down with no word, doesn't matter. Excuse me for not being free, for being one.
Robert was never a self-destructive person. He was always exploratory, but never self-destructive, and never bitter. He was always extremely positive. As a friend, he helped me to build confidence in my work and to think of myself, even in a youthful time, because we knew each other when we were 19 years old, as artists, to have a concept of oneself as an artist. That was always really important to Robert, not as an apprentice, not as a student, but as an artist.
New York is the thing that seduced me. New York is the thing that formed me. New York is the thing that deformed me. New York is the thing that perverted me. New York is the thing that converted me. And New York's the thing I love, too. Yeah, it's my little prayer for New York.
I was kind of naive or primitive in the sense that I just got a Polaroid camera and I started taking pictures. But I think some of the earliest pictures are very consistent with what I do today. I've been perfecting it over the years, but it was all there from the start. And when I first started taking Polaroids, I was working with photographs that dealt with sexuality, portraits. At the time, it was Patti Smith, because we were living together. I mean, probably the first portraits I took were of her. And still lives, because I used the still lives to experiment with lighting, because I didn't know anything about the technology. So I would take certain chances with the still life that I wouldn't do with the person, because I think again it's about being sensitive to the person. I don't want to make somebody go through something unnecessarily.
I myself enjoy the act of being photographed. When I was younger, I always used to imagine, even as a child, that I was being secretly filmed. I used to pretend when I was about 16, if I'd be in a subway looking at the window, I would pretend that Bergman was shooting a movie, or one of the saints was in shooting the whole earth was doing a zoom on me.
Stop. Stop.
The film was still moving, as in total improvisation. I just thought of it as an intertwining of themes that most interested both of us. And the basic theme, I guess, is the struggle between heaven and earth, good and evil.
At this time, very. Lucifer was the light.
Is that true?
Nah, I just made that. No, but you know what happened? I read this book. Robert had this book in his, he had this book in his drawer called Leather Boys. And like I picked it up the other night because he went out. And once he got those leather pants, he'd be down on Christopher Street, shaking those
In its day, Robert having his nipple pierced achieved some notoriety as an underground classic, and even had the dubious distinction of alerting Andy Warhol to the potential of movie making.
Like, it was like my boyfriend or nothing. I guess the only reason I don't like it is because, like, they got secrets.
I was living at the Chelsea Hotel at the time, and it just seemed like an interesting idea. I just thought it would be interesting to have a ring through your tit, because I had maybe seen it in a movie or something, but it wasn't something anybody had at that moment. And so I mentioned it to a friend of mine who was a filmmaker, Sandy Daly, and she sort of went with it. She, you know, I probably, it was a sort of whim one night, and all of a sudden there was a whole situation where I was to get my nipple pierced. So, you know, in the end, I think it's sort of silly, but because it was before I had any knowledge of what all that was about sexually. I mean, I learned, but at the time it was just a affectation, you know.
Anyway, I wanted to see the scar.
One reason I guess I'm quite thankful that I'm the age I am, because I was able to live through the whole 60s, and you know, I was an art student. It was perfect, you know, perfect timing to go through those changes which we all went through at that time, I think. It's a moment that I'm glad I sort of experienced here in New York.
I just picked up the red